Why is it called Five Boroughs of New York? It was a term they used when they defined NYC in the late 1800s. It is in the city's charter. It is simply the word that the new city government chose back in 1898 when the five separate areas were consolidated into New York City. The term borough is used in some other states too, it just isn't super common, and also none are as famous as New York City. A borough is an administrative district. New York City has 5 such administrative subdivisions. It's used in many English-speaking countries. It used to be several different cities that were merged into one in the 19th century, and the constituent parts are still governed as separate boroughs of one large city. It's also not the only case, as the same situation exists here in Toronto, except our 6 boroughs only merged much more recently, in the 1990s. Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens and Staten Island. It's called the 5 boroughs because there are 5 of them. Each borough has its own police, fire, and public service, but they are all part of one city. This goes over it in more detail, including the names of the boroughs and all that. You should recognize most of them. https://n.wikipedia.org Wikiborough New York City n.wikipedia.org Wikiborough New York City. The city exists as 5 separate counties that are defined as boroughs in the city charter. It gets into the quirky subdivisions of NY counties, towns, cities, and villages, but basically it's just a way of administratively subdividing a huge municipality. Piggybacking onto this, why do addresses in Queens use the neighborhood names Astoria, Jamaica, Flushing, Forest Hills, etc., but no other boroughs do this? The term boroughs is also used for some cities in the UK. London has 32 boroughs, Manchester has 10, Merseyside has 5. It just refers to a subdivision of a metropolitan area, and each borough is run somewhat separately from the rest of the city. New York City is made up of 5 boroughs, because the city is so large that it needed a more efficient way to be governed. The term borough was adopted in 1898 to describe the 5 main parts of the city after they were consolidated. A borough is a municipal corporation that is created when a county is merged with populated areas within it. What are the 5 boroughs? Are they the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queen, King, and? I don't know. The term boroughs in New York City refers to the 5 distinct administrative divisions that make up the city: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. Each borough has its own local government and unique character, but they all together form New York City. Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. Each borough is one-to-one with a corresponding county. For example, Brooklyn is in and pretty much is Kings County. At some point, the counties all merge to become New York City. What makes it unique and fake is that NYC is a bunch of counties that make up a city. Usually, it's a bunch of cities or towns that make up a county. The reason why you don't see borough used anywhere else is because there may not be anywhere else that has a similar structural history. And if there is, they aren't famous enough for the average person to know about it. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Because there's 5 boroughs in New York City, they are actually counties, but since all of them are within city limits, they are also referred to as boroughs. Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. https://n.wikipedia.org Wikiborough New York City Media File: 5 boroughs labels New York City map.svg. Unlike other counties in NY State, NYC's boroughs have very minimal amounts of self-government, mostly in the form of advisory committees and some elected officials, but are all ultimately under the purview of the city itself. Because of the 5 great mole clans who created the subway systems and now rule over a shadow government deep below the Earth's crust. Obviously. SMH, does nobody read books anymore? Because there are 5 of them. Because New York is divided into 5 iconic boroughs? That's just a name for a self-governing division of a city. Other cities might be divided into wards, districts, municipalities, or counties, depending on the country, state, and what powers they have. The word borough is still used in England and perhaps a few other states, I think NJ and PA. So for example, London, England has 32 boroughs. But because they are so small and because of the geography, tourists don't notice the boroughs of London.